Hey everyone, welcome back to the Badass Confidence Coach podcast. Today we are talking about ways to be less unhappy or how to be happier.
Okay.
Tim did not like the way I said being less unhappy. He didn't like that title, but
So
that's okay.
it's like telling the Bears to be more of a non-losing team. Is that right?
Maybe.
It's like, what? What'd you say? Just win more.
Just win more. just try to be happier. Okay, so these are some ways for all of us to work on being happier in our everyday lives. And if you've listened to me in the podcast before, you know that I tend to have a little bit of a beef with the word happy because I don't think that we're always happy, nor do I think that we ought to expect to be happy in our lives all the time, because we're not, because life is also about sorrow, and there's loss, and there's sadness, there's frustration, there's anger. We have all the motions of being a human being. And so on any given day or moment, we're not happy, right?
No, I think be positive, right? Because you can be positive and not be in a happy place all at the same time.
And at our core, I always say it's working on a sense of contentment and peace with whatever it is life throws our way. And so in a way, if I am working on being more contented and radically accepting what life throws at me, therein may lie a deep sense of, I guess, happiness for me.
Okay.
Okay. So that's what I'm talking about. But today's episode is really going to be about so for any of you who's watching this on YouTube, I've got my computer in front of me because this is the research and the homework that I've done to prepare. So it makes me cringe whenever I see myself on YouTube, or actually so many of us podcasters, we can't stand listening to our own voices. It's so hard to listen back to yourself, or for me to watch myself on YouTube. But when I do see the clips, and I realize, oh my gosh, Anna, you're looking down all the time. Well, I'm looking down because I am reading from my research, and I do this ahead of time before I get on here. So for those of you who are watching, no, I cannot memorize something like this for 30 to 45 minutes.
No, that would be impressive.
I know. But this is great information. So for those of you who are watching me, that's why I'm looking at my computer, because it's where I've got my research. All right. So today we're talking about the science behind what makes us happy. Okay. So these are research backed strategies to increase your happiness. And this comes from really prominent thought leaders in the fields of psychology, neuroscience, and personal development. Okay. So
can I
stuff.
ask you a question?
Yeah.
So how would you, in a very basic way, define unhappy? Just if we're saying be less unhappy, like what?
Well, it's going to be the opposite of a lot of what I'm going to talk about here.
Okay.
So maybe it's not being grateful on a daily basis. Maybe it's seeing this pattern of seeing the glass half empty versus the glass half full. So that could be a negative mindset. That could be you're in a bad mood quite a bit. The thing about being in a bad mood quite a bit for people is I always ask the people that I work with to look, and I'm looking at clinical depression, because I said this, I think a couple weeks ago here on the podcast, that oftentimes people who are in air quote bad mood all the time, they're depressed. There's actually a diagnosis there. Not everybody, but that's why you need to see a mental health person to help you with that. Maybe you're in a crisis in a relationship. Maybe you've got something that's falling apart. Maybe you've got a marriage or a long-term relationships with your adult child, with your spouse. Maybe you've got a business that's falling apart. You're not happy.
Yeah. Something's got you down. You're
Right.
maybe not your normal,
Right.
whatever normal is for you.
And those are crises moments in our lives that most of us will get through that and move on, and we'll get back to a sense of being more contented in our lives because we've accepted what's happened. But yeah, so, gosh, I mean, my father was very ill. I worked on trying to be content and have peace in my everyday life, but it was very hard because I was really worried. Any of you who has dealt with a medical, or even someone in your family with a psychological illness or a medical illness or something emotional, it's hard to be, you're not happy.
Yeah.
Let's be real. You're not happy. We're worried all the time. I was worried all the time about him. I was worried about his care. I was worried about how he was doing today. I was worried about if he ate. I was worried about if he got up and walked. the very basics, activities of daily living. Was he doing those things? We were all worried. Was I happy? No, I wasn't happy. And it's not expected to be happy. Okay. So I'm not really talking, well, I'm not talking about those moments in this. Okay.
Okay. I think because the only reason I'm asking, because I think and most people can define happy and unhappy, they define it for themselves, right?
Right.
So it'd be very different if you and I were to define it. My definition would probably be different than
Yeah.
yours versus our listener. Their definition would be again different,
So for all of you to think about as I go through this, what stands out for you, which of these points helps you or you think you're curious about might help you to feel a little bit happier.
Yeah.
What is it that you're already doing as I go through this? And what is it that you're not doing in that you're like, oh, I could improve upon that. I didn't think about that one. I'll do that one. Okay. Because this is what the research is showing.
I
All
like
right.
it. Okay.
Okay. Let's get into it. So, number one, you're not going to be surprised. Practice gratitude. Okay. So, what do the thought leaders say? Dr. Robert Emmons from UC Davis and Dr. Michael McCullough from the University of Miami, they've extensively studied the impact of gratitude on our well-being. And there's a research paper from 2003 that shows that participants who kept weekly gratitude journals reported higher levels of optimism and fewer physical complaints than control groups, which I found that to be fascinating. So a gratitude journal. So there you go, everybody. I talk about this all the time, and this is new for me. There's the research from Emmons and McCullough, 2003, that those who kept gratitude journals, weekly gratitude journals, showed a higher level of optimism and fewer physical complaints, which is interesting. And that's why I always say to my clients, the mind and the body and the spirit are all connected. We can't disconnect them. They're all intertwined. And this is a great example of it. When we write down, it can help us with physical complaints.
Yeah. And I think so it also brings it to front of mind, right? Because if you're taking the moment to pause life and write it down, you got to bring all of those good things to the front of your conscious mind.
Yeah, because you're
right?
focusing less on the fact that you've got pain in your knee
Yes.
and you're not as mobile. If you you start your day off having an attitude of gratitude and writing down what the sun is shining. I had a really nice conversation with my son last night. I don't know, I received something in the mail that I've been wanting and waiting for.
Yeah.
That can help us to feel happier and have more gratitude. Maybe it's I've got a roof over my head. I am in chronic pain and I can move. I have a physical therapist. So I can see how your attitude could help you with your attitude towards your physical complaints.
Totally.
Okay? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the opposite would be the same, right? Like
Right.
if you had the journal that's called the Why Am I So Pissed Off journal, right? Like you then you start thinking about all that stuff.
I'm so pissed off journal. I like that one.
Right. And then so that's what you write down.
Actually, I don't like it, but that's funny. I've never heard that before. I've never heard that. Yeah. So if you sit, you write down, you do like the big brain dump of all the things you're pissed off and angry
Right.
about. It's like, oh, and you don't come up with alternative ways of behaving and thinking, and you
Right.
just shut your journal and you go by your day, you're going to be in a bad mood.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
That was
Okay.
helpful. Yeah.
So what can you all do? Write down 3 things you're grateful for each day. That's it. That's it. Write down 3 things you're grateful for each day, even the really small ones, to reorient your mindset. Okay.
Okay. I like that.
Yeah. All right. Number 2, also a basic. If you've listened to the podcast, you know we're going to talk about this. Engage in regular physical activity. So the American Psychological Association highlights exercise as a key factor in alleviating depressive symptoms and boosting mood. Okay, I think it goes without saying. Studies show aerobic activities like running or cycling increase endorphin levels. You and I know that because we live it, often called the feel-good hormones. All right, so true. That's what the runner's high is. So any of you who have ever ran in the past or running now or cycling, some people might get it with any really cardio activity, might also get it with swimming. You know what this feels like. Okay, so that was a study that the APA did in 2020. So we also know that exercise reduces the stress hormones, which is our cortisol, and improves sleep quality. Okay, so engage in regular physical activity. But here's what's changed in the last few years. What the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention recommend is 150 minutes of moderate exercise a week. So do the math. So that's 5 days of 30 minutes of moderate exercise. I'm hearing 6 days, but 5 days is the minimum. That changed. It used to be 3 to 5. Now they're saying 5. Okay. 5 times a week for 30 minutes. You need to do moderate exercise. That's not like walking. That's not slow walking. Walking is great. I mean, walk, of course, but pick it up a little bit. And I've said that before in here. So maybe in your walk, maybe try to do a 30-minute walk. And in your walk, pick up your walk between this telephone pole and that telephone pole, then slow it down. Then pick it up again to the next light, the stop sign. Maybe you could do that next street corner, pick it up. Okay. So if you're not doing moderate exercise, this is a way that you can start to work on that. Okay. Take a Peloton class, take a spin class, anything. Okay. There's all kinds of those cardio classes at your gym that you
Yeah.
can, right?
Oh,
And there's
totally.
so much on YouTube now.
Oh gosh.
So if you don't have a gym membership, no problem. You can do this on YouTube in your home,
You
in your
can
condo,
do
in
it
your
with
apartment.
yourself. Like,
Yeah.
just go take your
Yeah.
phone and go for a walk and
Yeah.
open your eyes. Like,
Yeah.
just, you know what I mean? Just go.
Dancing, dance for 30 minutes. If you'd like to dance, dance around your apartment, dance around your house.
Yeah.
Do yoga. Yoga can get your heart rate up if you do one that's a little bit more brisk. Okay.
So is that that recommendation? Is that the max?
That's the minimum.
That's the min.
Center for Disease Control, which I was a little surprised that they said 30 minutes. I was surprised. Yeah,
Yeah.
5 days a week. And that could be a lot for some people, but that's okay. You can start slow, but get up to 5 days for 30 minutes. Okay. That does help us with our mind. We know the connection between the mind, the way we think, our mood, and physical activity. Number 3, I want you to cultivate a mindfulness and meditation practice. And for those of you who have listened, you know that I didn't used to do this. I used to tout it to my clients all the time, therapy and coaching clients, because I knew the research. This is back in 14, 15, and 16, but I didn't do it myself because told myself I didn't have time. I have too much of a hyperactive brain. I can't slow it down enough. I kind of didn't want to do it, but I knew the research, and then I started to do it, and it has been game changing. So what do the thought leaders say? So Dr. John Kabat-Zinn, many of you know who he is. He's a guru in the, is pioneer in the field of mindfulness-based stress reduction. It's been widely researched how important meditation and mindfulness is. Okay, so there was a meta-analysis in 2014. A meta-analysis is the study of the studies. So that's very important, and that makes it even more reliable and valid. Found that mindfulness meditation programs can help reduce anxiety, depression, and stress. Okay, so we know this to be true. All right. Dr. John Kabat-Zinn's work suggests that mindfulness practices, it enhances our self-awareness and our emotion regulation. That's really important. And that's what's been game changing for me. It enhances your emotion regulation. So when you're going to get upset with your family member, with a stupid email that keeps coming through, you got hacked. Like I've been hacked 3 times this Christmas holiday season. 3 times I've been hacked. That can get you emotionally dysregulated because I'm on the phone with my bank. I had to call Fidelity. We got all of our investments were hacked into. Like our on T-Mobile, we got hacked through I can't even tell you. That's a whole other story. We've been hacked so much in 2024, and that can it gets you into a bad mood. You get you frustrated. You're going around in circles. You're like, hold on, let me transfer you to this person. You're just annoyed because you feel insecure because of all these hackers today. Here we go. So I'm already taking a deep breath talking about it. It helps.
Well, you feel vulnerable.
You feel vulnerable.
Right? Yeah.
And mindfulness meditation practice can really help. It has helped me to feel more calm, tell myself this is okay. It's going to get better. You're taking care of it now. It's all going to work out.
Right.
All right. But meditation has really helped me with that. Okay. So how do you start? Start with short guided meditation. So I use Headspace, love Headspace, but there's 50 million apps in the App Store now for meditation. Start with 5 minutes. That's what I did. And now I'm up to like 20 minutes. And now I don't want to get off after 20 minutes, but I just have to go about my day. So start with short guided meditation, focusing on the breath or your body sensations. I do it at night if I wake up now, because I'll wake up sometimes at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning just because my mind is going and I've got anxiety about something. I mean, I'm dealing with sleep, not as much as I used to. it's 3 o'clock in the morning and my brain is fully awake. It is like my brain thinks it's 12 o'clock in the afternoon. And I'm like,
Time to go.
I'm supposed to be sleeping right now. So I'll do a sleep meditation that
Yeah.
I know the sleep meditation that does help me get back to sleep. Okay. So what I recommend is that you gradually increase the duration to experience a deeper benefits. Okay. So start with 5 minutes and then maybe a week or two later, go to 10 minutes. Okay. And then stay at 10 minutes for a while. And then maybe after a month, go to 15 minutes. Okay. But try that. It's been game changing for me. Next is to foster those high quality relationships in your life. The Harvard study of adult development, it's been running for over 80 years. It emphasizes that strong relationships are key to long-term happiness. Okay. I think this goes without saying, but I'm going to say it. Strong relationships are key to long-term happiness. So you've got to make an effort. If you don't have them now, you got to go out and find them, cultivate them, and keep them going. Okay. People who feel socially connected experience lower levels of anxiety and depression. That's a study out of Harvard Medical School from 2017. Positive relationships can even predict physical health and longevity. All right. Underscoring the importance of get those high quality relationships in your life. Okay.
That's big.
Some of us may say this one, no brainer. This is easy for me. I already got it. I think many of us are struggling with this right now. Loneliness is you talk about an epidemic, a pandemic, a global pandemic. It's loneliness and isolation, not just in North America, but the world over. People are struggling with being lonely and isolated. And that's very different from being alone and wanting to be alone. These are people who are struggling, who don't have someone in the corner. They don't have their people, that haven't found their tribe or their group. Okay. So this is something that I think is really, really important for you. So go join a pickleball class, take a knitting class, go to the gym, join the gym, go to the same time every day. You're going to get to know the same people that are there every day at 8 a.m. All right. You can even join something on Zoom. It's not the same. I say try to do it in real life now, but find something that you are interested in. What did you like to do when you were younger? Go back to it. Go take a painting class. Go take a drawing class. Go join a choir. I'm telling you, these choirs, these church choirs, they are always needing people. They never have enough people. I don't even know if you even need to be a member of the church. Like, seriously, if you like to sing and you have a half decent voice, they'll take you.
It's pretty
and
true.
I see you smiling. You're going to crack a joke about
No.
choirs.
People
singing
I love choirs.
Sometimes.
I mean, not
sometimes.
Yeah. Just let it go. I'm good with choirs. Choirs are great.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are.
These people make an effort.
No,
you have to practice like once or twice a week, and then they have to show up every Sunday.
I'm going to get myself out of hot water really quick because I cannot sing. I know that. And chemo robbed me of my journey voice long ago. And that stinks.
Well, you didn't really have a journey voice before chemo, but now you really
I had the Steve Perry voice. I can hang with them.
But
anyways, I get that.
No, yeah.
But I do appreciate that you listen to choirs. Like there's talent. There's some
You shouldn't.
talent.
Don't be the pot calling the kettle black, because you really could not sing. Okay. Anyway, so how do we to work on implementing these relationships in our lives? So you need to prioritize consistent, meaningful interactions with your friends and your family. Okay. So don't blow off book club. Don't blow off when people are getting together for dinner. Don't blow it off. I know that many times people want to flake at the end, like, oh, I don't feel like doing it. I'm too tired. I'm in my sweats. I'm all comfy. I'm just going to Netflix and chill. Don't do that. Okay. Get up, get in the shower, change your clothes. If you're a woman or you identify she, her, put on makeup and go out. Okay. Make that effort. Text people, ask people for plans, ask people for coffee, ask people, do you want to play basketball? Ask people to go for a walk. Do you want to meet at the park? Do you want to walk the dogs together? Make plans, go out of your way for meaningful interactions. Okay. Really, really important. And like I just said, seek out communities or groups that share your interests and values.
Yeah.
All right.
I think that's a good point because, I mean, there definitely is a population. Well, I joined the gym, right? Like they think they check the box and then like
they don't go.
Well, they don't go. And they look at the calendar and it's like, oh, that was 4 months ago and I haven't been there.
Aren't we coming up on the Friday that everybody quits their New Year's resolutions when it comes to fitness?
Yeah, second Friday.
Is the second Friday of January that historically and statistically speaking, people who joined a gym stop going. So don't be that person. Don't be that person this year. Okay. This is Tim and I telling you to keep going. You got this. Don't be that person. whatever you said you were going to do with your resolutions, you got this. Keep going. All right. We're here to egg you on and
Yeah.
to cheer for you. Okay. Just think of us as on the sidelines, clapping for you. Keep going. Keep going. You got this. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. What helps to make us happier in our lives? It's adopting a growth mindset. All right. So, what do the thought leaders say? So, Dr. Carol Dweck, many of you may already know who she is, out of Stanford University. She introduced the concept of having a growth mindset, showing how our beliefs about intelligence and ability can shape success and happiness. So interesting. So, what are the key findings? People with a growth mindset, so these are people who have they believe that their abilities can be developed. They tend to persist in the face of challenges and experience greater satisfaction. Okay, so that was her research from 2006. So a growth mindset emphasizes learning over performance. Okay, so when you have this attitude of, I don't know it now and I can learn it, or I'm not that great at it now and I can get better, I can learn, I can grow, I can advance. What you're doing is it encourages resilience in you, and you're building resilience in yourself. Okay, more positive outlook on yourself and on life. But this is how we create resilience. I could talk all day about resilience because it's so important. Resilience is a growth mindset. And I used to say, like, I suck at this, I suck at that. I don't say that anymore. My default, I will just, and I think many of us, my default is I'll just go back to that sometimes. Like, and I have to catch myself. And I don't say that. Like, I don't say I suck at this because I think it's really a put down. I'm not good at this and I can learn.
Yeah.
I can get better.
I'm not as good as I could be or will
And
be,
I'm going to
or will
improve.
be.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So replace those self-defeating thoughts, like I just said, I can't do this, with I can learn to do this. All right. View your setbacks as temporary and part of the learning process. You're on a learning curve. This is part of your learning process. Give yourself a pat on the back that you're even doing something new and different. Okay.
I mean, I think there's a huge opportunity to go with that, like, step out of your comfort zone moment, right? In so many areas of our
Yeah.
life. Just take a chance, right? If you don't, nothing changes,
Right.
and it won't ever. But if you take that
Move
chance,
through your fear.
yes.
Try not to be, I understand that you may feel afraid. I understand that you have the feelings of fear. That's a feeling. And I want you to move through it and I want you to behave different. I want you to act different. I want you to take this conscious action and do it different. It's okay to feel afraid and you still must make changes.
Yeah.
Okay. So they both can coexist together. You can feel afraid and you must change yourself if you want to get to a place of maybe deeper happiness and contentment in your life. Because the pride and the confidence you feel when you've done something that you were afraid of, you can't put a price tag on that.
Right.
That's an interior sense of satisfaction. And I'm so proud of me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, and
Okay.
you never walk away from it like feeling worse.
Yeah.
Right? Rarely, if ever. Like, if you take a chance and do something that's going to better you, and but you were scared to do it, and then you take that chance and you do it, how many times you be like, oh, I wish I would not have done that.
No one says no one ever.
Right.
Says really probably no one ever.
Yeah.
Right. Like most people are like, I'm glad I did that. That was hard. I'm
Right.
glad I did it.
Right.
Like when we did the polar plunge a few years ago in Lake
Oh.
Michigan, I was nervous. I was afraid. We did it for charity. I didn't really want to do it. I mean, I don't know. I know everybody's all about the cold plunging, and I did it for charity because if I wasn't raising money for charity, I wouldn't have done it. And Lake Michigan in Chicago or February, I don't know. There was snow around us.
It was chilly.
It was hard. And so we went and changed. So I had a bathing suit on and sweats and a sweatshirt, like 2 or 3 layers of sweatshirts on. Ugh. And I was a little afraid of it. I was afraid of the cold. I was afraid of how I was going to feel. I was afraid of really the pain because it's painful for a minute. And I knew it was only going to be like 30 seconds, but I was afraid to do it. And I did it and it was rejuvenating. And I was so glad I did it. The high you get when you're done. So then last week we were in Florida with our kids, and you and I and one of our boys, we were swimming, like regular swimming, in a heated pool. And so it was nice weather. It was like 60 degrees outside. We were in a heated lap pool swimming. And then we went over to my son was in the hot tub. And then We were sitting with him, and the pool next to that was a regular pool, and that pool was freezing. That was they didn't heat that pool, right? So I don't know what the temperature was, like
It was chilly.
40,
Yeah.
maybe 40.
I don't know if it was 40, but it was
It
chilly.
wasn't like cold plunge 30. It was like, but it was like,
whatever. Yeah,
so
it was cold.
so we dared Grafton to do it. He got in and did it, but he only went up to his shoulders and he got out, and then he got back in the hot tub. And then this is just me and my personality because I'm competitive. I felt it bugged me that he did it and I wasn't doing it. I'm like, well, there's no way I'm going to sit here in this hot tub and now I have to go try and do it. So I went, and I was afraid again. Like I just, like the discomfort to the extreme physical discomfort that's coming your way. And so I think I went first and then you went after me. Yes. No, I went second.
I went first.
Oh, you did?
Let's be real clear.
Oh, I don't remember.
I did the nesty plunge while y'all sat in the hot tub and watched me.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Oh.
Think about it.
Did you put your head under? I don't think you did.
I landed on my back flat on the water. Yes.
Oh, yes, you did do the nesty.
Thank you.
You did.
That's right.
Because we talked about the nesty plunging. So we're dating ourselves talking about the nesty plunge. Because Grafton had no idea what we were talking about. He's like, what is that? I'm like, oh my gosh, you don't remember that commercial? No, because it was from the 70s and the 80s.
Right.
You're right, you did do it. And then he went in. Yeah. And that's what bothered me, that the two of you went in.
Yeah.
And I just remember thinking, I have to go in. There's no way
you
I can
didn't really
leave.
have a choice at that point.
Well, you weren't saying anything to me.
Well, but we would have got you later.
But I was nervous. And so I went in and it was uncomfortable. I didn't stay very long, got out, got back in the hot tub. And then I was like really hot. I'm like, oh, I could do this. So here you go. So I faced my fear and then I built up more confidence. I'm like, oh, I can do this. It wasn't that hard. So I'm like, I'm going back. I went back and I put my head under and it was like, oh my gosh. But it was weird in that it actually does make you feel really alive. Like you're
Totally.
like, whoa, like you are, all your senses in your body are woken up. And then I got back out, went back in the hot tub, almost slipped getting back into the hot tub, which is dangerous. Almost slipped on the pool deck, got back in the hot tub. And then I'm like, no, I'm going to go again. Because we kept upping the ante, all of us. And then all three of us went back in and we put our heads under. And then we just sat there and talked in that pool, not very long, for like 30 seconds to a minute.
Yeah.
And then got out. So there you go. I mean, that was doing something recently that I was a little afraid of. I mean, I don't really love, these cold showers that I've taken, these cold plunges. Cold plunges, I think they're just really hard. And I think we grow from it.
Totally.
Okay. All that to say. So that's a physical one for all of you.
It's important to me that the supplements I take are of the highest quality. And that's why for 5 years, I've been drinking AG1. Unlike many supplement brands, AG1 conducts relentless testing to set the standard for purity and potency. I know I can trust what's in every scoop of AG1 because it's tested for 950 contaminants and banned substances, while the industry standard typically only tests for 10. Taking care of my health shouldn't be complicated, and AG1 simplifies this by covering my nutritional basis and setting myself up for success in just 60 seconds. AG1's ingredients are heavily researched for efficacy and quality, and I love that every scoop also includes prebiotics, probiotics, and digestive enzymes for gut support. So if you want to replace your multivitamin and more, start with AG1. Try AG1 and get a free 1-year supply of vitamin D3 plus K2 and 5 free AG1 travel packs with your first subscription at drinkag1.com/Anna. That's drinkag1.com/Anna. Check it out. You will not regret it.
Okay, the next one is I want you to practice self-compassion. All right. So this comes from Dr. Kristen Neff out of the University of Texas at Austin. She really is a pioneer in research on self-compassion, and she links self-compassion to its mental health benefits. So what have they found? They have found that treating yourself with kindness instead of judgment correlates with less depression and anxiety. Okay. I'm going to repeat that. Self-compassion, which is treating yourself with kindness, not judgment, no judgment here, correlates with less depression and anxiety. Very, very big for some people. All right. Self-compassion also fosters emotional resilience and reduces negative rumination. So rumination is when you're thinking over and over and over again the same thoughts. Many of us get caught in a loop. a negative thinking loop. So when you have compassion, it moves you out of that. All right. So how are you going to implement self compassion? Well, I want you to first start noticing when you're critical of yourself. Okay. And this takes work. So this is something that you're going to have to spend maybe a week. And I would be intentional each day for 5 days, 7 days of how are my thoughts today? So this might be journaling, maybe in the afternoon, in the evening. Were there times today that I was critical of myself, or like, I suck at that, or I'm not good at that, or why do you always do it like that? We have so many thoughts in our head all throughout the day that are critical, but we're not always aware of it. That's the metacognition work that takes time for all of us to work on. It's so metacognition is the thinking about your thoughts. Okay. So spend some time noticing when and where and what situations you find yourself being self critical. Okay. Pause. I want you to pause when you're journaling about this and imagine how you'd speak to a dear friend in the same situation. And I think that this is a great golden nugget for all of you because it works and it works fast. It works fast because when you take it out of when you're aware of how you're talking to yourself, and then I say to you, okay, Susie, okay, Joe, now I want you to say that to a friend. And they go, no, I'm not going to say that to them. I wouldn't say that to them. Then why are you saying it to yourself?
Right.
You don't deserve that. Don't do it to yourself.
Yeah. I would think at the very minimum, you'd find a nice way to say it to somebody else.
If you did.
If you even said it at all.
And you'd watch the delivery.
Yes, you would.
And you'd be much gentler and much kinder with your friend.
Yes.
Right. Okay. So I want you to also incorporate a loving kindness meditation that really focuses on warmth towards yourself. So this is how you increase self-compassion. So you could find loving kindness meditations, like I said, all over the different meditation apps. A loving kindness meditation, 10% Happier has a meditation app. That's a podcast with Dan Harris. I don't know if it's called 10% Happier. I think they've actually recently just changed the name. I forget what it's called. So go to the App Store and look up 10% Happier, and they'll probably show you the updated name. And they have a really good loving kindness meditations app, meditations in there. I think it's Joseph Goldstein that I have done the meditation through before. He's like a guru in the meditation world. His are excellent. He has a very soothing voice. Okay. So meditation, really, really important. Okay. Next one is I want you to set purposeful goals. Okay. So what do the thought leaders say about setting purposeful goals? So Dr. Martin Seligman, who we in the field of psychology love, he's out of the University of Pennsylvania. He is known as a father of positive psychology. So he is the foundation of really much of how I work as a psychotherapist and a life coach. Okay. So he identifies purpose and meaning as critical components of well-being. It's called the PERMA model. So what are the findings? Goals aligned with personal values predict higher motivation and long-term happiness. Okay, so that was a study, 2005. I won't tell you all the names. Okay, I'm going to repeat it. Goals that are aligned with your personal values predict higher motivation and long-term happiness. So many people come to me for coaching because some know what their goals are, some don't know what their goals are. So we work on goals, but first we have to start with what your values are. So we'll do like a values test. I'll ask them a lot of questions about what their values are. Then they can get their goals. Okay, so that's really, really important. We know that we're happier when we know what our values are and we have goals that we've set for ourselves. Okay, so a sense of purpose, it really does combat feelings of aimlessness and fosters resilience. So people also come to me for coaching because they feel aimless in their lives, especially those who are in the middle age years. Sometimes I get people, the Gen Zers or millennials, but I'm seeing a trend now with people who are middle age, maybe moving actually into retirement. The kids have left home. There's some empty nest syndrome stuff going on for moms and dads. And they have find that I'm aimless. I don't even know what my purpose is anymore. Yeah, I've got a job, but it's whatever. It's my job. They're losing their sense of purpose. Okay. So you got to go back to what your values are and you got to go back to setting goals for yourself. Really important.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So let me just share a quick story. So yesterday, a brand new swimming client.
Yep.
And we met on the pool deck. I know her from a different world, but first time I've ever given her personal one-on-one swim coaching.
Right.
And so I said, all right, before we actually swim, I said, I need to know where you want to be when we're done with this. Not today, but like when we're done.
So what are her goals?
Yes.
What are her goals for the end?
Yeah. What is going to make you feel successful and make you feel happy at the end? And so she took a second, because I don't know that anybody had ever asked her to think about it that way before,
Right.
which is interesting. But she laid out 3 very helpful for me pillars to build on, like for the next, because I know I'm with her for at least 4 to 8 weeks, because they're based off of the sessions that we do together. It's you buy packages of 4. I'm sure she'll do 4, and she'll probably do another set of 4, whatever. It could be much more than that. Who knows? It might not be. But at least I know that when we get done, that I better have checked those 3 boxes for her, because she felt that those were the 3 most important things that she wanted to take away from this. So just to your point, the word purposeful is huge.
Right.
Because you can have all kinds of different goals, but if they're just like, whatever, I'd like to be
What's the purpose of them? So what are the purpose of your goals?
Yeah.
And I love that she told, it didn't take her long. She thought about it. She told them for you. And now you remember them.
Exactly.
And that becomes part of like your itinerary in working with her to swim.
1000%.
Well, that's the exact same thing I do as a life coach.
Yes.
So when we work through the goals, I'm writing them down. Why my clients see, I share my notes. They have action steps each week in the way I work. So they see it. I write them down. They know what they are. And then I hold them accountable for them throughout our time together.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So you're doing the exact same thing.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So the next one is ways to make yourself happier. Contribute to something beyond yourself. Or we call this, and this is Abraham Maslow's hierarchy of needs. One of the top levels. I think the top level is altruism. So Abraham Maslow really talked about self-transcendence. And what is that? So self-transcendence is helping others or participating in a cause bigger than yourself. This is a key to fulfillment. So after we have all these basic needs throughout our lives, so we go to the very bottom, you've got food, shelter, clothing, you've got a job, you've got relationships, you've got at least some relationships in your life that are filling, you've got some money coming in, you've maybe done some traveling, you've done some things in your life that you've wanted to do. You participated in a group, you participated in a sport, you have hobbies, maybe you've got some of those things in life, but you're finding that I need more. We're getting older now. I need more. There's got to be more. For many, many people, this is what Abraham Maslow studied. We get to a place in our lives, we need to give back to the world. We need to give back to our community. We need to give back to maybe our country, the world. So that's getting involved in charity, volunteering, giving money, but really it's giving of our time and our energy. Okay. So contribute to something beyond yourself. So think about, what is it that interests you? What is it that that sparks interest and maybe sparks joy in you when you imagine yourself showing up and maybe helping make sandwiches for the soup kitchen, or maybe you're organizing your local township office's food pantry, or maybe you're volunteering in a hospital to hold preemie babies in the neonatal unit because the nurses need help. They cannot. So I spent years working in the neonatal unit. The nurses do not have the time. They cannot hold those preemie babies as much as those babies really ought to be helped. I think 24 hours a day. They cannot do that. They're nurses. They've got jobs to do. The parents are there, but the parents can't be there for 24 hours a day, right? There's a need for that. Maybe you're interested in babies, or you hold the drug babies because many of these babies need help. We've got these drug babies who are coming off of crack cocaine, heroin, methadone. They need held. Or maybe you're somebody who you just really have an attraction and you have an affinity and a love for the elderly. Well, let me tell you, there's a lot of nursing homes, but also the senior centers
like
where you can volunteer.
Living.
Yeah, the assisted living,
yeah.
the senior centers, and all the communities in the country have senior centers, and they're looking for volunteers.
Totally.
Help them, help run a mahjong, help start bridge. There's endless what you could do to give back, okay? Altruism and volunteering are linked to higher self-esteem in you, the person who's doing it, and lower rates of depression. So, right, I almost don't even need to tell you about the study from Thwaites and Hewitt in 2001 that looked at altruism and volunteering, of what it does lowering the rates of depression. Okay. So how do you implement this? Like we just said, volunteer at a local nonprofit, maybe mentor someone. There's a lot of young people out there, those Gen Zers, and they need mentoring. So many people, especially young males today, they need mentoring.
Yeah.
They need leadership, and they need someone to help guide them. Okay. So donate your skills if you don't want to do that to a community project. Okay. And if you can't do any of this right now, because maybe you are raising kids or you're taking care of your elderly parents, and you have a full-time job and you just are strapped, then what I would tell you to do is just engage in small acts of kindness every day. So check in on your neighbor, that maybe your elderly neighbor, maybe, or if you can't do that, hold the door open for somebody as you're walking into the grocery store. If someone drops something, bend down to pick it up and give it to them. Let somebody go before you in traffic or in a parking lot. Those are small acts of kindness. Make eye contact, say hello, say thank you. That's the very basic of what you can do. But the feel good that you get when you're putting out that positive energy and kindness reaps so much rewards for you, the person who's doing it. Okay. So contribute to something beyond yourself.
Yeah. I think part of this is like establishing your legacy, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of what you're saying, not 100%, but like it certainly is a chunk of it,
Yeah.
right? Like, how do you want to be remembered? How do you want to go out? What are the takeaways that you want your kids to take with them?
What do they say at funerals? When I think about myself dying, and because I've read this so many times, people aren't going to come to your funeral and remember, like, how much money did she make? Or what kind of house she lived in, or what kind of vacation she took. What are they going to remember? Or what did Tim do in his career?
What was your fastest 5K?
Well,
None of that stuff.
None
right?
of that stuff
It doesn't
matters.
matter. None of that stuff
People
matters.
remember how you treated them.
Yeah.
How you made them feel.
Right.
How they felt when they were around you. That's what people talk about. That's what people remember at your wake, at your Shiva, at your funeral, when they are memorializing you and just remembering you in their mind. They remember how you made them feel, for better or for worse.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Really, really important. Okay. So next one is I want you to start incorporating positive emotions in your daily life. Okay. This is from the broaden and build theory. All right. So Dr. Barbara Fredrickson from the University of North Carolina, she proposed the broaden and build theory, which shows how positive emotions expand our thinking and our resilience. All right. So what are the key findings? Positive emotions like love, joy, contentment, it builds psychological resources over time. All right. So experiencing frequent micro moments of positivity fosters creativity and emotional well-being. So that was, to me, for me this morning, an example of that is we woke up, and what was it? It's a weekend morning. We woke up and we have all these things we have to get done around the house, and it's freezing, freezing cold outside. And so it screwed up I was going to go for a run, but it's like 7 degrees and I'm not running
today.
No, I'm not running in 7 degrees. So
Right.
my schedule, my routine kind of got jammed up and it had to get altered. And that, for me, who loves my routine, can throw me a little bit, and kind of, it gets irritating for me. And one thing I'm working on is not getting irritated by the little things that screw up my schedule. And so I went upstairs and I said to myself, I'm happy. I'm happy. This is a great day. The sun is shining. It's freezing cold, but there's a blue sky. The sun is shining. I'm happy. And that totally turned me around. Totally. It did. So that's an example, because I can go to a negative place, and so can you, kind of quickly. I mean, I think you and I are pretty positive people, but we live on this planet with everybody else, and things in our lives irritate us.
We can get shook, right?
We can get shook.
Yeah.
We have 2 hound dogs who are like 2 4-year-old little boys. Like, we have 5 adult kids. And I tell you all the time, we love our dogs, but they are like 4-year-old boys. They're one, I swear I love him to death, but he has half a brain and he acts so
so it's
dumb.
grown.
What?
It's grown.
What's grown?
His brain. Now it's a half.
I say he has half a brain. You have half a brain. We say it with affection, but
Yeah,
you
right.
have half a brain. But we complain about him because he's so irritating at times at 5:30 in the morning, barking like a crazy hound dog. We don't live in rural Alabama. We live in the south. You cannot be barking like
Not
that.
that there's anything wrong with
People
that.
have told us they can hear a dog barking inside the house.
Right.
So that, like, it can shake us a little bit,
Yeah,
right?
totally.
And I find that I get irritated and you get irritated. We start complaining, like, oh, let's just get up and go. So stop barking. And this is my resolution for 2025, is to stop doing that. And I did it this morning. It wasn't so much the dog, but it was my workout routine got messed up because it's so cold. And I said, I'm happy. There's nothing to complain about. All is good. The sun is shining. And I have been given so many wonderful gifts in life. And it really turned me around.
Yeah.
Good example.
It's good.
Yeah.
Very good example.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So incorporating positive emotions in your daily life. Okay. So all of you, find a way to do that. All right. Next one, I'm going to talk about this. You got to prioritize your sleep and your rest. So 8 hours of sleep is the minimum. I mean, do I need to tell you all why it's important? No, but I'm going to anyway. So neuroscientist Matthew Walker very, very big guru in the world of sleep. He's been on Rich Roll's podcast. He's been on Andrew Huberman's podcast. He's been on all the podcasts. He is from UC Berkeley, and he underscores the critical role of adequate sleep for cognitive function, emotional stability, and overall health. So what have they found we're not getting sleep? So chronic sleep deprivation is linked to higher rates of depression, anxiety, and cognitive performance going down, right? I think you all probably know this, right? So adequate rest also improves mood regulation and mental clarity. And this is important because we talk about sleep all the time, but we don't talk enough about rest. So sometimes clients will say to me, well, I can't sleep. I can't take a 20-minute nap. I think Matthew Walker doesn't believe in like 30-minute naps. I think he believes in shorter naps because you can get yourself into a sleep cycle that you get too deep in. It can be hard to get back up. So we go,
That makes sense.
It's taking a cat nap.
Yeah.
Take a cat nap. But even if like my consultant say, Anna, I'm not going to fall asleep for 10 minutes. If I fall asleep, I'm going to stay asleep. And I just can't do that. I'm at work all day. But you can rest. So find a way to rest. You can rest in your chair. I remember when I was working in my office, I'd put my head on my desk for 10 minutes or even for 5 minutes. Just find ways to get rest, even if you can't sleep. Okay. It's
even
important.
like just mental rest, right?
Yes.
Like just stop thinking for 10 minutes.
And that's what I do when I put my head down.
Stop processing, stop worrying, all of those things.
Right.
Just check, just basically like take a light switch and just flip it.
And that's where I pull, let's go back to the meditation. That's where I pull the meditation in. So if I have like 10 minutes between clients or 15 minutes between clients, I would, go and get myself some more, fill up my water, maybe go to the bathroom and have 5 minutes. And the mental rest was me going into a meditation where I'd quiet my mind because I want to get it ready for the next client, but I also need to do it to be able to be really emotionally available for the next person. I need to rest my mind.
Sure.
Okay. But many times we need to rest our minds before we get out of the car from work and go into our home, which is a whole other flurry at times of activity. It's doing like a little bit of a mindset reset. Many people will do this. I'll have them do it in the car before they get out of the car. You do it, Tim. You'll be in the car in the driveway in there for a few minutes before you come in the house. It's really a transition period, which really can mess people up if you don't rest. You to be mindful about, all right, I'm in a transition period right now. I need to take a little break.
Yeah.
I'm going to quiet my mind for a minute and then get ready to go into the next part of my day, which is my home. Or maybe you're getting out of the car in the morning, you're going into the office, or you're getting on Zoom for a meeting. Get ready for that. Do a few minutes of quieting your mind. You can do a 1-minute meditation.
Totally.
Okay. So that's mental rest.
Yeah. I mean, it's just like you take the longer way home.
Right.
Right. Or you go an extra block, right, in your car. And it's like,
and turn the music off, turn off the podcast.
Just chill for a second. Give
Right.
yourself some decompression. Let yourself kind of like relax, and then you're good. Off you go.
Right. So all this to say, so I can go through them all real quickly. You may want to listen to this back again, but I'll go through them right now. So how do we get happier? Number 1, practice gratitude. Number 2, engage in regular physical activity. Number 3, cultivate mindfulness meditation practice into your life. Okay. Even if it's just 2 times a week, I'd like you to start. Number 4, I really want you to work on fostering those high quality relationships in your life. And we talked about if you don't have them, how you can get them. That's really important. Adopt a growth mindset is the next one. The next one is you got to practice self-compassion. Okay. Move out of that negative, put down attitude, practice self-compassion. Next one, set purposeful goals. What are your values in your life? Once you know your values, look at your goals, set those goals for yourself. All right. Next, contribute to something beyond yourself. All right. That's volunteerism. Next is incorporating positive daily emotions in your life. Next is prioritizing sleep and rest. Okay. So happiness, it's not a fixed state. And that's why I have pushed back on this whole idea of happiness. But it's a skill set that you can hone over time through consistent practices. I just gave you a list of 10 things that are going to help you develop a consistent practice to move you into a place of more happiness, sense of peace and contentment. Okay. So by integrating these research-backed strategies into your everyday life, you can strengthen your mental resilience, nurture positive emotions, and create a more meaningful, fulfilling existence. All right. So if you find yourself struggling consider reaching out to me, mental health professional, if you're in the state of Illinois, for tailored guidance and support. If you're in other states in North America, you're somewhere else on the globe, reach out to me for life coaching. This is exactly what I do. Okay. And even if you're in Illinois and you don't want therapy, much of this is coaching. Okay. So reach out to me. I'd be happy to help you with all this. This is my jam. I love this. And I've seen people make profound changes in their lives. I've watched people get happier in their lives because of having worked on these skills.
Yeah.
It works. We know it works. I just gave you all the research to back it up. Okay.
Can I say one thing
Yeah.
before you wrap? So that was a nice list, right? I think it's a helpful list. There's 10 things on that list.
Yeah.
It's as if we just took a workshop and we sat through it, right? You gave us a lot of things.
I just ran you through like a 2 or 3 hour talk. And how long was it? 45 minutes, an hour?
Something. Yeah. Yeah. So I think an interesting part 2 to this, or follow up to this, and it doesn't have to be like tomorrow, but like take this. I got to imagine there's research out there that will say, okay, of these 10 things, like these 4 are the most important, right? Or the most effective, or have the biggest bang for your buck. So you probably could, and maybe you already know this, you could put them in order for us, right? But then walk me or walk somebody through like, all right, this is overwhelming. There's 10 things. That's a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Do a little bit of this and a little bit of that and a lot of this.
Okay, so
right?
I want all of you who are watching or listening to let me know, do you want me to break this down more? Do you want me to do what Tim is talking about? So take these 10 tips to get more happy and break them down maybe in the top, 3 or 4 or 5?
Yeah, just like
go
if I'm
go
gonna
more detailed with
well,
them?
and if I'm just gonna get most effort, like my best effort for this, and I would get the biggest return, then you're gonna tell me like, all right, let's focus on these things first.
I can do that.
Yeah.
And we can do another episode on it. Maybe we'll do a part 2 of this. With a caveat for all of you who are watching and listening, this is nuance for each of you. You're all different, and what works for one may not work for another. So
Right.
somebody may really, really need to work on their sleep. Somebody may truly have a sleep apnea and they're snoring and they don't realize that person needs to go for a sleep study. Okay, I can do that. But I do want to say that because I think that unless you're working with me one-on-one, I'm not going to know the details of your life and your issues. But I can certainly think about what the top. Why don't you all email me? Why don't you reach out to me, DM me on Instagram or on TikTok, send me a message or email me hello@AnnaMarcolene and let me know which you want me to talk about more. And I'll do it.
I like it.
I'm happy to do that.
I
Yeah.
like that.
Okay. All right, everybody. So if you have not already subscribed to the podcast, please do so. Rate and review with 5 stars. Give us 2 or 3 sentences about how this podcast is working for you, how it helps you. If you think that somebody needs to hear what we're talking about today, share this. All of this makes a huge difference in the world of rankings. Okay. So I would so appreciate it. That's something you can do for free to help me out and help out the podcast. Mad love to all of you. Thank you so much. All right. Until next time.